Ohio gozaimasu! Welcome to the first episode of Animondays, where I will review anime both new and old. I will also review anime conventions that I happen to go to, as well as anime merchandise that I purchase or that I've read about that's coming out new from Japan, as well as other things anime. This episode will kick off the series, and it will have everything in it. I will talk about an anime convention that I went to a couple of weeks ago. I will show you some merchandise, and I will talk about my very first anime that I will review on this episode. Yay! So, the first thing I want to talk about is Anime Milwaukee. I went to it a couple of weeks ago. It happened on February 14th through the 16th. 2014. It was Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It was so much fun. It was the first one I've ever gone to outside of the state of Illinois, outside of Anime Central, which I'm pretty sure I have mentioned to you in past videos. And this con has both pros and cons to it, as most cons do. For a little con, it was so much fun to see people and to meet people and really get time to talk to the voice actors that came and visited, and as well as being able to see cosplay costumes that people put a lot of work into. So the first thing is I'm going to go over the pros of Anime Milwaukee. It was a small con. Like I said, I was able to meet people and continuously run into them, and I forged new friendships with really nice people. Everyone that I ran into was nice, and they were so welcoming and so excited about the con themselves that it really made it a close-knit community and really made it more fun and more exciting to be there, especially for the first time. The other thing was, me and my friend, Miss DBZ Babe, if you don't know her, go check her out. I will put her link in the crouch bar below. We kind of made the spur of the moment decision to stay there. We were planning on driving back and forth, but we decided, wow, that's really stupid. So we got the hotel, and it was literally a block away from the convention center. And that was amazing. And it was fun just walking back and forth and running into people and seeing them and walking with them. Even though it's freezing out and there was snow all over the place, it was still a lot of fun. The other good thing is there was a mall right across the street from the convention center, so you didn't have to pay for food, you didn't have to do any of that. You could just go over to the mall. And what's really nice is some of the places, because it was a convention, had these deals where you could go, and if you showed your badge, you could get a certain percentage off your meal, which was really awesome. I've never heard of anyone really doing that before. And it just was another thing that made the whole con experience so much better. On the other hand, as everyone knows, with pros there comes cons. One of the cons for the con was the fact that when we got there, yes, as most conventions, if you're going to wait in line for a badge, you're going to wait a long time. Most people can look past that. The fact that we got there and we waited 2 hours, which was fine. It went by really fast, and it didn't feel like it. We then had to wait like another 30 minutes because they screwed up Miss DBZ Babe's badge, and they couldn't print it. And I'm like, I was sitting there, and I'm going through my mind. I'm like, they really need to get this better, because if you're going to have this many people show up on Friday, the start of the con, you really have to get things moving a little bit faster. And it wasn't just us, it was a couple of other people too, that this one person could not figure out what to do. They needed to train their people a little bit better. And I understand things happen. I work at a retail store, so I know stuff happens time and time again. So I was able to put that past it. But there were other things. They were ridiculous when it came to the elevators. It took forever to move up and down the elevators from floor to floor. And for someone who tends to get a little claustrophobic, one, when it gets really warm in a place, and two, when there's just a lot of people and you cannot escape, it happened. We were going up to the rotunda at the top of the hotel. One, where they had the maid cafe, and two, where they had this fun thing called an anime bar where you could order drinks that were anime related, which was really fun. And we had to go all the way down to go back up because there were only 2 elevators that could get up to the rotunda. And I, of course, was sitting there and we got blocked in and we had to wait for 18 floors. And I was like starting to hyperventilate. I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get out of here. That was a little bit of a downer with that. But I've come to terms with the fact that, you know, cons have a lot of people, even small ones, and you're going to have to wait in an elevator. You're going to have to get stuck in an elevator for a little bit. And so, even though there was a downer, it was still a lot of fun. The second thing was, I've never had this happen to me, and this was the first time. We went and we were going to go to the dealer's room, and they came up to us and told us that, they being people who work there, came up to us and told us that we had to check our bags in. So if we had a big bag or a backpack, we could not carry it in with us. That was a little disconcerting for the fact that then you're stuck carrying absolutely everything. You can't put it in a backpack and hold it, and it would make it a little easier. Because apparently people were stealing from the vendors the year before. And that kind of upsets me because, you know, we're such a small community to begin with. We are slowly growing, but we cannot be having this. We cannot be having people stealing stuff. We want to continue to support these vendors who will support our addiction. As you can see from my room all over the place, I have anime. I want to support these vendors, and for people to be stealing, that's kind of hurtful because it's like, yes, you want to have this obsession and have this love for something, but you're going to take it away by stealing it. So that was a little kind of a swift kick in the gut. I'm like, okay, luckily they had a coat and bag check, which was a godsend, because you could wear your coat if you had to walk to the convention and you weren't going to be cold, and you could check it in for the entire day, and it was safe. People were there. They were super nice. And after a while, we kind of realized, okay, you know, we can check our purchases too. So, as much of a downer as that was, it didn't cramp the con at all. It was so much fun. So, I'm going to make this really fast. I'm not really going to show that much stuff, but I'm going to go through some of the merchandise that I purchased at the con. And 2 of the things are these new Japanese figures, Sailor Venus and Sailor Mercury. They had all of them there, all the Sailor Scouts, and they're brand new. They're from Japan. They are amazing. The only thing is the stands are horrendous. You try to put the stands together and they break. So sadly both mine broke, so the Sailor Scouts are on their own right now, but they are super cute. You can see them. They're really good quality. Sailor Mercury looks so adorable. That's why I purchased her. She's not one of my favorites. As you can tell, Sailor Venus is my favorite, and you know, it was a lucky find. Okay, so another thing I purchased was the Sailor Venus plushie, and these little plushies are again from Japan. They just came over here. They are so cute, so adorable. And it's cool because the tags themselves have the character on it. And they're just adorable. They sit and they're so cute. Another thing is that I haven't seen except on eBay, and they cost a lot of money, are these little Negima figures. This is one of them. And they are so adorable, so cute. I will hopefully be doing a Negima review coming up soon. But this is one of them, and I fell in love with it, and I had to purchase it, and she's so adorable. I also purchased a couple of Persona figures and a couple of other little things that, you know, weren't really figures, but just were handy to have, especially when you couldn't have a giant backpack. I purchased a little bag with Kyo Soma on it, and it helped carrying my wallet, my phone, what I needed to carry. Okay, on to the main portion of this, which is the anime review. The first anime I'm going to do for the very first episode, and I mentioned this a while ago in one of my other videos, is the first anime I ever owned and ever watched, which is X-1999. I will zoom in a little bit. This is one of the greatest animes I have ever seen, and it is... I hold it close to my heart so much. So, it's about two groups, and they are fighting over the destiny of the Earth. The two groups are called the Dragons of Earth and the Dragons of Heaven. The Dragons of Earth are fighting to destroy Earth and think that, you know, the humankind, the human race, has pretty much reaped everything they could from the Earth, and the Earth is yearning to have its sanity back, so they want to destroy it. Whereas the Dragons of Heaven are fighting to really save Earth. They decide that, you know, this is their place, this is their home, and people are precious. And they believe that, you know, even though we do what we do, we still deserve to live and to be saved. So, it starts off, the story follows the main character, Kamui. He leaves Tokyo as a child with his mother, and she takes him away for the fact that she knows his destiny. She knows what's going to happen. And she knows that if she takes him away, there's a good chance the whole battle between the two groups won't happen. Well, sadly, she dies and Kamui returns. He returns and he is searching for a sword, and it is considered, mainly they call it the Divine Sword, but it's called the Shinken. And it is a sword that will help in the battle. And at first you're like, oh my god, Kamui's a bad guy. You know, he's got an attitude to him. Even when he runs into his old friends that he knew when he was little, Kotorimono and Fumamono, their brother and sister, they were all friends when they were little, and he kind of has an attitude towards them, and they're all happy and excited to see him. But, you know, he has this attitude as most teenagers do. What happens is his aunt, who's still living in Tokyo, doesn't let her real reasoning still for that she's still in Tokyo known to Kamui until it's a little too late. What happens is the way the Shinken is brought into the world is through birth. So someone actually literally gives birth to the sword. Ouch. She gives birth to the Divine Sword, and that's kind of where it all goes downhill. I won't say too much because I don't want to spoil it, but then Kamui decides what side he wants to be on, and it further goes downhill for him and everyone around him. He meets the other people of his group, and the battles ensue. The art is so beautiful, and it's so realistic that you're sitting there watching this. And of course it's Clamp, and if anybody knows, Clamp is a studio that reuses its characters in some other animes, and I will admit some of the characters in this land in Tsubasa. And trust me, don't even get me started on Tsubasa. That will be another review. But it's so beautiful and it's so moving. The story is fast-paced. There's not really any gaps or lulls in the storyline, and it's really each episode is kind of a look at each character, both on the Dragons of Heaven and the Dragons of Earth sides, and you get to know the characters, you get to see their background, you get to see why they ended up where they ended up, and that's what I really like. I love character-driven animes, and this is what that is. Another thing I really liked is what they do is when they battle, each character is able to produce a barrier, and within that barrier things can be destroyed and demolished and blown up. And then when the battle's over and they bring the barrier down, this is mainly the Dragons of Heaven because they want to save the world. When they bring that barrier down, everything that was destroyed isn't destroyed in the real world. It's only destroyed within that barrier. The only bad thing is if you die, so if you're a Dragon of Heaven and you die, the barrier automatically disappears and everything that was destroyed within it is actually destroyed outside in the real world. That kind of heightens the intensity of the anime, and it drives you even more. And the feels, oh my god, the feels are all over the place. You cry, you root for both sides, you understand every character, and you want both sides to have a good outcome, even though if you're like me, you root for the Dragons of Heaven and you really want them to win. But I also found myself like, oh, I don't want the Dragons of Earth to not have a good outcome, you know? And it kind of flipped back and forth, and I was rooting for the Dragons of Earth, and I still wanted the Dragons of Heaven to have a good outcome. It is just such an amazing anime, and for it to be my very first anime, the one that kind of opened up my obsession with this culture and this love of such purity, it just really, I'm grateful to it. I know this sounds really weird, but I'm very grateful to X-1999 and bringing me into this world where I now enjoy, and I now have very good friends, and I love them dearly. And that's what this anime did. It not only showed me that there is a world out there that is so much fun to be a part of, but it showed me that cartoons aren't the fun little cutesy things that Americans see. It is more intense and more emotionally driven and subject driven and character driven, and it proves to you that, you know, no matter what, there's a good chance you're gonna love it. You're gonna love what you watch, and that's what this is. It made me fall in love with it. It made me want to watch it again and again and again, and I still do. And trust me, when I say the feels are strong, the feels are strong. Every time I watch it, I will cry like a little baby. But I'm grateful to where I am now with it, and I enjoy it so much, and it continues to thrill me every time I watch a new anime. So that is a wrap for this review and the review of Anime Milwaukee. I will put everything, all the websites, down in the crouch bar, and you can check out Anime Milwaukee. I hope you guys go, and I hope you guys, if you do go to conventions, continue enjoying conventions. If you watch anime, read manga, continue doing that. If it's something you love, do it. If you cosplay, do it. continue to push yourself and strive to newer challenges with everything you do. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and like, comment, and subscribe to this channel, and I will be forever grateful, and I will continue to do reviews. And thank you for joining me on the very first episode of Animondays. Sayonara!